Ever wish for a secret garden just for you, nestled among greenery? Imagine turning a small patch of yard or even a tiny balcony into a hidden nook filled with charm. It doesn't take a mansion or a fat wallet. Start with climbing vines and tucked away seating. Add stepping stones or a simple archway for mystery. Try old pots, winding paths, or wind chimes. Even simple tricks can hide a spot away from prying eyes and daily noise. Imagine an old stone arch, covered in thick ivy, leading visitors into your garden like a well-guarded secret passage. This time-worn feature adds immediate character. The jagged stones hint at lost stories. Tucking a bench just beyond, you create a shaded hideaway for stolen minutes with a book or a coffee. Practicality counts. Ivy is beautiful, but keep it trimmed, or it can damage mortar over time. Plant tough ground covers below, like creeping thyme, to soften pathways. Curious guests won't resist peeking through. In short, a stone arch draped in green is low effort, high reward, unless you seriously dislike trimming. Imagine a weathered pink wooden door, chipped paint giving it character, resting beneath a tangle of climbing roses. The faded shade of pink stands out among the greenery, almost daring someone to peek behind it. Passers-by are instantly intrigued. Is there something magical hidden beyond those petals and boards? Installing such a door isn't as tricky as it sounds. Salvage doors or a weekend DIY project will do the trick. Training roses to climb takes patience, but the reward is a welcoming, fragrant entry. The only challenge? Roses need sunlight, so this idea suits gardens with at least a few hours of direct sun. Picture a whimsical door tucked beneath ivy, its wood etched with curling designs. This entrance hints at stories waiting within. Place mossy stone steps leading up to it, a small detail with huge impact. The steps invite guests and wildlife, but require care to keep them safe and moss-lush, not slippery. A simple DIY project can add magic. Upcycle an old wooden door and use safe, non-toxic paints. Add charm with a few hidden trinkets or lanterns. The moss might need daily misting in dry weather, but the enchanting effect easily outweighs that bit of extra effort. Imagine stumbling upon a hollow tree bookshelf, tucked quietly beneath tangled wildflowers. It's part fairy tale, part practical storage. Who says you can't store garden tools or weather-resistant books where petals fall? Hidden storage blends function with whimsy, sparking surprise and curiosity during every visit. Rain, humidity, and mischievous critters could cause headaches. Choose treated wood or weatherproof boxes for books and supplies. Line your makeshift shelf with stones to keep it dry. With a pinch of maintenance, your secret stash won't turn into a soggy mess or a squirrel's new library. Imagine stepping onto a gravel path edged by shadows, greeted first by a wrought iron gate shimmering softly under a lantern's glow. This classic pairing doesn't just set the tone, it creates instant mystery and elegance. Passers-by might think, what's so special behind those bars? It's an entrance with attitude. Lanterns aren't merely for looks. They provide gentle lighting, guiding guests safely while making your gate a highlight after dusk. Maintenance is straightforward. Just wipe down the metal and clean the glass. However, remember that frequent rain could mean more upkeep to avoid rust, so give your gate an occasional once-over. Imagine a winding brick pathway, half hidden under trailing vines. It whispers promise. Where might it lead? This simple trick transforms even a modest yard into something magical. Playful shadows, shifting smells, and that sense of concealed adventure will have guests peeking down the path, eager for what's next. But tangled vines have their downsides. Overgrowth blocks sunlight, bricks might turn slippery, and daily upkeep isn't everyone's cup of tea. Still, with some regular pruning and keen observation, you can maintain the mystery while keeping the walkway safe for wanderers and dreamers alike. Imagine strolling beneath an arch draped in living moss, vines weaving above to form a cooling shade. A grapevine canopy carries both bounty and beauty. Clusters of fruit dangle overhead, tempting both eyes and taste buds. Moss keeps the air humid, softening footsteps and creating an instant sense of calm. However, moss craves moisture, and grapevines depend on sunlight. Balancing the two requires patience and attentive care. Choose grape varieties that thrive in your zone and water only in the early morning. If you get it right, this green tunnel becomes a living secret passage, hidden in plain sight. Tucking an arched door behind drifts of climbing roses or wisteria adds drama and curiosity to any garden. Neighbors may walk by and wonder, what's behind that whimsical entryway? A secret nook for afternoon tea, perhaps. This approach rewards both your senses and your imagination, even with minimal space. Maintaining the lush blooms does take commitment. Pruning, watering, and choosing shade-tolerant flowers matter. If handled well, the payoff is huge, a private, storybook retreat worthy of secret conversations and quiet moments. Ready to turn your fence into a portal? Just start with a hardy climbing plant and an old door. Imagine a garden corner left to nature, ivy crawling over half-fallen stone and ferns hiding the soil. A Gothic arch stands as silent invitation, hinting at stories long forgotten. This setup grants real atmosphere. Maintenance, though, can be tricky. Plants get wild fast, and stonework needs occasional checks. Try planting shade-loving varieties here. Foxgloves and hellebores thrive among the mossy stones. Add a wrought iron bench under the arch. Friends might wonder if they've stepped into a fairy tale or just stumbled onto your slightly untamed masterpiece. Embrace imperfections. It all adds to the enchantment. Twisting stone paths can instantly add a magical feeling to any garden. Imagine moss-clad walls guiding every step, softening harsh lines and keeping feet cool. Stone doesn't just look charming, it's durable and needs little upkeep. A winding walkway creates curiosity, drawing guests on a quiet treasure hunt. However, moss requires steady shade and consistent moisture. Too much sun, and you're left with patchy growth. No one wants a scraggly border that looks like a half-finished project. Place your path where trees cast gentle shadows and keep a watering can handy for dry spells. Consistency pays dividends. A stone well bordered by wildflowers creates the sort of quiet beauty gardens are meant for. Imagine pulling back tangled vines to reveal water glinting in a rough-hewn circle. Birds gather, bees hum. The effect is pure storybook charm. Plus, wildflowers attract pollinators and thrive with minimal fuss. Maintaining the magic, though, takes some effort. Scatter seeds for native wildflowers, skip synthetic fertilizers, and let the blooms spread naturally. Add a handmade bucket or rope for a whimsical touch. If you're concerned about safety, cap the well securely. In just one season, even a forgotten corner can brim with life. A weathered wooden gate framed by lush boxwoods instantly sets a storybook scene. The aged wood adds character. Think real-life fairy tales lurking around the bend. Boxwoods create neat, sculpted lines, leading eyes to the entrance. Maintenance is simple. Annual trimming and periodic cleaning keeps both gate and greenery looking inviting. Want extra drama? Add climbing roses or twinkling lights. Beware, though. Boxwoods require occasional pest checks, and the wood can rot if in constant contact with damp soil. Still, the atmosphere created far outweighs the minor upkeep. Imagine opening that gate. Each step feels like a secret revealed. Sunset casts a golden spell on winding forest paths. Why settle for ordinary lighting when string lights among branches create pure magic? Add mossy stones and wildflowers for a storybook feel. Invite friends or wander solo. This pathway turns every stroll into a quiet escape from daily noise. Still, upkeep requires effort. Fallen leaves, overgrown roots, and tangled vines can trip the unwary and their pets. But is a little trimming too much for that fairy tale mood? A sunset-painted canopy and rustic trail are the ingredients for the secret garden of your childhood dreams. Install a giant circular stone arch to frame your secret garden's path. It grabs attention instantly. With lush ferns climbing and leaning around the stone, the whole area feels like a page torn from a fairy tale. Anyone passing through senses mystery. The arch hints there's more magic just beyond. But before you rush to build one, think about proportion. Too large and it overshadows the space. Too small and it looks unconvincing. Go for rough, moss-speckled stone to blend in instead of gleaming new blocks. Maintenance is low, but stone adds long-term permanence. Choose your spot carefully before digging. A weathered mirror tucked behind dense green ivy tricks the eye. Suddenly, your small yard whispers of hidden dimensions. People love this, stopping short and asking, "Wait, is that another path?" Care to surprise a guest? Nature's messiness softens the mirror's edges, blending mystery with a hint of magic. But be honest with yourself. Mirrors outdoors aren't maintenance-free. Rain spatters and sunshine fade can hit hard. Use outdoor-grade glass and sturdy frames to sidestep frustration. Trim the ivy so it hugs rather than smothers your mirror. The payoff? An ever-changing reflection. shifting with each season. Imagine sitting on a bench tucked among ferns, where sunlight trickles through leaves and cool shade stretches over mossy stepping stones. This quiet nook doesn't just look lovely, it encourages relaxation and reflection. Even the simplest wooden bench can thrive here, as shade preserves both comfort and the wood itself. Shady spots often struggle with sparse growth, but moss relishes low light and moisture. Lay stepping stones close together for safe footing and a secretive vibe. Add small lanterns or low planters for subtle charm. Don't worry if some paths get slippery. Rough textured stones help prevent mishaps after rain. Imagine stepping through a rose-draped pergola. The scent is almost intoxicating. Petals scatter across the pathway, and soft shade stretches across the ground. A structure like this instantly draws the eye, turning a simple entrance into an event. It encourages curiosity. What magic lies beyond those blooms? A hidden garden beyond the pergola is a smart use of space. It's private, peaceful, and feels like a personal retreat. However, maintaining thriving roses requires ongoing care, regular pruning, pest checks, and feeding. Skip the upkeep, and those lovely blooms fade fast, letting the garden lose its spark. Imagine a worn stone fountain quietly bubbling behind a garden gate covered in roses. It whispers to visitors, "Who else wanders here?" This touch gives old gardens a sense of mystery. Paired with white violets and ferns, the area feels storybook perfect until the fountain clogs in autumn. Regular upkeep is key. Realistically, a stone fountain boosts both value and charm. Give local mosses time to settle along the basin's edge. They add instant age. Solar pumps save energy and make construction easier for beginners. Just check that your gate closes well, or neighborhood pets may discover your secret first. Strings of fairy lights above a shaded path bring magic to even the most ordinary backyard. Their soft glow guides footsteps after dark, turning evening strolls into a twinkling retreat. Why settle for dull walkways? A handful of well-placed bulbs can make a garden feel straight out of a storybook. However, weatherproof options are crucial. Choose solar-powered lights for less hassle and lower energy bills. Secure wires around sturdy branches to prevent drooping and curious critters from playing electrician. Remember, less is sometimes more. Too many lights can feel like a parking lot rather than a secret escape. Imagine tucking away a bench beneath a Gothic arched window where creeping ivy frames the view. These windows don't just suggest another era, they invite mystery and romance. Pop in some vintage lanterns and let the dappled sunlight create patterns on the seat. Suddenly, your garden feels centuries old. Still, fitting such a feature into a tiny nook demands planning. Sourcing antique windows or suitable replicas may take time, and lush planting around the structure is key. But for anyone yearning for solitude or whimsy, the reward, a quiet sanctuary, is worth every effort. Think of a shaded corner where ferns grow wild, their fronds arching over worn stone benches. This setup is simple to create. Plant shade-loving ferns in clusters and use irregular stones for that weathered feel. Regular watering and occasional trimming keep the area fresh, yet still unruly enough to feel secretive. Sure, ferns thrive with minimal fuss, but excessive dryness spells disaster. Keep a mulch layer to retain moisture. Arrange seating so visitors can brush fingers through fronds while hidden from sight. Isn't that small sense of seclusion, right in your own backyard, worth a little dirt under the nails? Forget the standard backyard pond. A waterfall veiled behind hanging forest vines brings out whispers of adventure in any garden. The vines aren't just for show. They drape the scene in mystery, soften harsh lines, and provide extra shade for moisture-loving plants. Who wouldn't want to sip coffee beside that? Before you rush to drag a hose and rocks outside, consider upkeep. Fallen leaves clogging the water or excessive shade may limit plant choices around the falls. Keep pruning shears handy and choose hardy vines that won't choke out their neighbors. The result? Your own little oasis, minus the airline ticket. Imagine strolling through a garden and meeting a striking round moongate arch. It instantly draws the eye, whispering promise of something special on the other side. Framed with climbing roses or ivy, this structure sets a playful, almost storybook mood. Visitors can't help but pause, look, and smile. A moongate arch isn't always practical for tight spaces or strict budgets, but for those able to install one, the effect is striking. It separates spaces in the yard gracefully and adds an air of mystery. Want simple impact? Train flowering vines over the arch for natural charm. Tucked away behind a lush wall of trumpet vine, a cozy bench waits. It feels like finding a hidden room, one only you know. Wisteria, morning glory, and clematis aren't just pretty, they block wind and prying eyes. Such a corner invites quiet reading, lazy chats, or sneaked midday naps. Maintenance, though, needs attention. Some vines tangle if you ignore them for weeks. Choose slower growing varieties if pruning sounds like a chore. Even a half-barrel planter with a trellis creates a small oasis. With a bit of effort, you gain a peaceful escape that feels worlds apart. Imagine a quiet corner with a weathered stone wall draped in thick, tangled ivy. The leaves create a natural camouflage, offering seclusion from nosy neighbors. Such a spot encourages daydreaming. Picture yourself there with a book away from chores. A simple bench is all you need for instant escape. Still, ivy needs attention. Letting it run wild can damage masonry. Trim regularly where vines threaten gutters or windows. Choose strong, established walls. Those crumbly ones will only cause heartbreak if the ivy wins. Even so, the look is enchanting, and care is hardly a Herculean task. A secret garden doesn't demand a mansion or boundless land. A quiet corner, some tall plants, and a bench can create your peaceful hideaway. Picture sipping tea while butterflies flit by. Why can't your yard offer that calming mood? Start small. Add a trellis or old wooden gate. Plant fragrant herbs or climbing roses along a winding path. Experiment. Test new textures and shapes. The best secret gardens don't follow blueprints. They reflect your imagination. So, what's stopping you from making your own oasis?